The world's most dangerous sports. Although extreme sports have emerged as the newest kind of nerve-wracking competition, athletes pushing the boundaries is nothing new. At the Circus Maximus, Roman chariot racing provided plenty of thrills and spills for the enthralled spectators. Players were sacrificed to the gods as a result of a baseball game in earlier Mesoamerican cultures. The dangers of play can be observed in a variety of competitions held all over the world that require incredible bravery, skill, and occasionally even death. 1. Bullfighting. Bullfighting should be considered a blood sport. The three independent, bloody flowing phases of the bullfighting are not to be confused with the Chopsaki film trilogy. The bull is weakened during the rites by being punctured by picadors on horses and banderilleros on foot. This introduction is thought to be vital since without it, the mighty beast would consistently easily win. The matador, Spanish for killer, enters the ring after the bull has been prepared for the last performance and is only equipped with a long, curved sword and a thick, scarlet cape called a muleta. The matador must demonstrate his bravery and artistic ability during this part of the fight by making a number of extravagant passes. He does a dance with death before going in for the kill. For a speedy execution, the bull should be struck between the shoulders with a rapid thrust of the sword, severing the aorta. But even a tiny shift can change the situation. 2. Boxing. Famous New Yorker columnist and sports writer A.J. Liebling aptly described boxing's peak in the 1940s and 1950s as the sweet science of bruising. Scientific research today paints a much more bleak image of the repetitive headbang sport. Inside your skull, there is a gelatinous substance called the brain that floats in cerebrospinal fluid. This protective padding helps shield our heads from bumps and bruises on a daily basis, but a strong blow to the head can cause the brain to move back and forth, knocking someone out for a moment. Comprehensive research now shows that even minor concussions sustained over the course of a fighter's career can cause catastrophic cumulative damage. These injuries often get worse over time as the brain quickly deteriorates, exhibiting symptoms including disorientation, vertigo, and migraines. As in the case of the great boxer Muhammad Ali, misuse can also result in the onset of Parkinson's disease. Few athletes in history have ever attained the greatest degree of devotion and renown. Ali's domination in the ring was matched by his inspired leadership in the struggle against racial injustice outside of it. His 3 titanic battles with Joe Frazier alone serve as an example of the unrelenting abuse he endured, which had far-reaching effects. In a 1996 interview with 60 Minutes, Ali's doctor, Dr. Dennis Cope, discussed the champion's illness. Ali has had a development of what's termed Parkinson's syndrome. And after testing him, we came to the conclusion that it was pugilistic brain syndrome brought on by boxing, Cope added. 3. ALAI. ALAI, pronounced Highlight, is that strange-looking competition that is mostly found in areas with a Hispanic influence and is dubbed the fastest sport on the earth. Additionally, it's very risky, leading to terrible traumas and fatal head injuries. On a 3-story, 3-sided court, the game is played similarly to racquetball, with 8 teams of 2 or 4 players engaging in round-robin combat. However, the polita, a hard rubber ball that can go up to 200 miles per hour, is what distinguishes ALAI from other sports. A cesta, a long basket worn like a glove that gives the ball a lot of spin, is used to achieve the speed. The first team to 7 or 9 points wins by throwing and catching the poleta in the scoring zone, depending on the tourney format. Sometimes the swirling action is too quick for the human eye to keep up with, but the ferocious betting going on in the stands is just as fierce. The popularity of ALAI was increased by this ingrained aspect, but it would ultimately lose its status as a professional sport due to the corrupt nature of gambling. 4. Skydiving. Tom Cruise's dramatic exit from an airplane and flawless halo, high-altitude low opening, jump in Mission Impossible, Fallout serve as the film's high points. But the tragic deaths of 2 skydivers in Georgia have brought the risks of skydiving into terrible focus. During a tandem jump just south of Atlanta, the victims, a seasoned instructor and an 18-year-old woman making her first leap, were killed when their chutes failed to open. After the primary parachute failed to open properly and an emergency parachute only partially deployed due to the low altitude, Gina Triplicata and Nick Esposito perished at the site. Out of over 3.3 million jumps, 15 fatal skydiving accidents happened in the United States in 2019, according to the United States Parachute Association. Tandem skydiving is statistically far safer than solo skydiving, with only one student fatality per 500,000 tandem jumps over the past 10 years, despite the infrequent triplicate accident. 5. Mountain climbing. Famous British mountaineer George Mallory's cheeky response to the question of why he was going to climb Mount Everest, "Because it's there," is as good an explanation as any for the driving force behind risking life and limb to scale Mother Nature's majestic peaks. In 1924, while making the first climb of the highest point on Earth, Mallory would die in a blizzard. It would take another 75 years to find his body. Modern climbers now have access to better tools, maps, and weather forecasts thanks to technology. These elements, along with the increased accessibility of climbing locations worldwide, have increased mountaineering's appeal. Even still, the sport's prized endeavor, climbing Mount Everest, continues to claim lives at an alarming rate. On their way to the mountain, the Nepalese Sherpas refer to as Sagarmatha. The Sagarmatha / 11 climbers perished in 2019. Numerous variables, including as hypothermia, strong winds, avalanches, and altitude sickness, can be fatal. Additionally, a surge in overtourism and an increase in fatalities during the most recent trend of commercialized expeditions can be attributed to novice travelers with bucket lists. 6. Rugby. Contrary to its more flashy child, also known as American football, rugby doesn't use thick padding or tough helmets. Additionally, the optional headgear, known as scrum caps, is more comparable to a soft bonnet and intended to shield ears rather than heads. Nevertheless, Ruggers maintains the same vicious, bone-crushing action that gives the game its tagline, "Give blood. Play rugby." Rugby matches, which have 15 players per team and are quite popular in Commonwealth nations, may swiftly devolve into attrition battles. Even the field seems like a bloody battleground with wounded soldiers limping and battling till the final whistle. The fervor surrounding the sport is frequently a subject of pride in one's country and national identity. This profoundly ingrained love in Cardiff, Wales, is described by author Gwyn Prescott in his book This Rugby Spellbound People as permanently embedding rugby football into the popular culture and the very pulse of the town. Merely a game? 7. American football. In America, the National Football League, NFL, is without a doubt the most well-liked professional sport. After all, nothing compares to the enormously fascinating attraction of witnessing extraordinarily quick and powerful players run, catch, and throw while crashing into one another. However, it has a high cost and significant effects on the players on the field. The NFL has had a number of wide-ranging scandals over the years, including those involving drugs, sexual harassment, flagrant cheating, and most recently, charges of racism by team owners. The league is also battling a fatal issue that it can no longer ignore: concussions. Jim McMahon, a former All-Pro quarterback, is just one of many athletes who have sustained severe head injuries. Fortunately, there is now finally attention being paid to diseases like chronic traumatic encephalopathy, CTE. Furthermore, the well-publicized suicides of former athletes will eventually aid the sport's advancement with better injury protocol and safety precautions. 8. Auto racing. Soon after the horseless carriage was created in the late 19th century, auto racing took off. Both participants and viewers with a rush-infused craving for speed would be drawn to the fast-paced excitement. Go-karting kids to racing legends like Ayrton Senna and Dale Earnhardt, Sr., fatal outcomes can occur in the blink of an eye due to the lethality of flammable fuel and high-velocity collisions. One of the most renowned competitions in the sport is the legendary 24 Hours of Le Mans. The worst disaster in the history of motorsports was also produced by it. On June 16, 1955, a race car being driven by Lance Macklin from the United Kingdom was struck at 150 miles per hour by a Mercedes-Benz 300 SLR piloted by Frenchman Pierre Levague. Levague's car then shot into the crowded grandstand in the midst of a chain reaction of chaos and carnage. By the time the smoke cleared, 80 individuals, including Levague, had perished due to fire and metal debris, and over 100 additional bystanders had been hurt. The results of a subsequent investigation were equivocal regarding who was to blame, although it is clear that the front stand's proximity to the track was important. Additionally, the choice to finish the race, which was subsequently won by Jaguar drivers Mike Hawthorne and Ivor Baeb, would draw harsh criticism from the race's administrators. 9. Bull riding. At state fairs and rodeos across North America, the rough-and-tumble sport of bull riding offers 8 seconds, or less, of heart-pounding, twisting, and turning excitement. While professional cowboys might earn excellent livings riding a ferocious, 2,000-pound bull, some riders might prefer to stay with the somewhat less dangerous mechanical counterpart seen at their neighborhood tavern. These denim-clad daredevils can still be gored, kicked, or crushed despite the fact that many riders now wear extensively padded vests and helmets to prevent major injuries. Animal rights activists continue to object to this practice, which involves securing the animal with a flank strap device over its haunches to prevent it from bucking during the ride. The Professional Bull Riders Organization is totally devoted to safeguarding the health, safety, welfare, and respect of every bovine athlete who enters a PBR arena, according to the company's website. However, the Bulls have not yet released a formal statement outlining their viewpoint. 10. Surfing. Surfing is fantastic. Surfing is awesome. The only sport in which competitors can be eaten is surfing. Surfing has become a worldwide phenomenon, characterized by unending summers of tan bods getting pumped, stoked, and tubed, ever since bands like Dick Dale and the Deltones, the Surfaris, and the Beach Boys, most of whom didn't surf, helped promote it in the 1960s. The risk of a vicious shark attack, however, is the negative aspect of this lifestyle sport. There have been 6 unprovoked shark deaths so far in 2020, including 3 surfers. Bull, tiger, and great white sharks are typically involved in occurrences. They occur in coastal waters in places like Australia, California, and Hawaii, which also happen to be surfing hotspots renowned for their huge waves and great conditions. The largest predatory fish on Earth are called great whites. They can grow to be between 15 and 20 feet long, weigh up to 5,000 pounds, and have a remarkable range of senses. According to experts, the majority of cases involving surfers happen when a shark mistakenly thinks the surfer is a seal or sea lion,